Gavin Larkin is a name I wasn't familiar with up until about a week ago. He is the founder of one of the most inspirational charities that I know of, and that charity name is Are You OK? And in Australia every year, this year, it was on September the 10th. Every year in Australia, a day is dedicated to prompting us to remember that that little 3-word question can literally save a life. It can also transform lives. Are you okay? And it's dear to my heart because it was about 6 years ago I was asked that question spontaneously. Nick, are you okay? And for the first time in my life up until that point, I actually answered it honestly. And I said, no, I'm not okay. And so I want to dedicate this video to Gavin Larkin and the Are You OK charity. And so when I contemplate that, and I contemplate my own experience with that question, I realise that right now there are so many people on this planet, so many people in Australia, where we're living in unprecedented times. And so that question has suddenly become extremely relevant and extremely timely for so many people suddenly. And I realise that with the change in all of our lives, it's not really a question of if, it's a question of when you hear the answer no to when you ask, are you okay? So my question to you is that when you receive that answer, what do you then do? How do you respond? Stephen Covey is an author that we all know, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of those habits is this: seek first to understand, to then be understood. Seek first to understand, to then be understood. But that's interesting because he also quotes the challenge to that is this, is that most people listen with the intent to reply rather than the intent to understand. Most people listen with the intent to reply rather than the intent to understand. And so listening is a skill to develop much like any other skill. And we're not developing it just to say, yep, I've listened for listening's sake. But it's listening to truly try and understand another person's perspective. And when it comes to the are you okay, it's listening to understand someone's state of mind. And so you may one day be the person that does hear no to when you ask, are you okay? But you also may be the person that answers no when you're asked, are you okay? And so I think the most appropriate response in both of those circumstances is simply the act of listening. Not for the intent to try and fix, not for the intent to try and respond to it, but simply with the intent to just try and understand what that person is saying. Where are they coming from? And so Gavin Larkin did an amazing thing. He weaved into the fabric of the Australian culture one of the most important 3-word questions we can ask any other human being. And that is simply, are you okay? But that question is just half of it. We need to learn what the most adequate response is. And in nearly all cases, that response doesn't need any words at all. It just needs you to be willing to listen to understand the perspective of that person. And because when you see that person again, and when you've been able to listen and understand their situation, maybe when you ask that question again, are you okay? They may say, you know what, I'm still on a journey, but I feel much better than I did before. That's what listening does for people. So Gavin Larkin, I salute you. Are you okay? I salute you. You do a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. Thank you for listening. See you again soon.